This is a big aeroplane, but it's surprisingly manoeuvrable. The thick wing is reminiscent of 40s technology. Canberras made their mark in Vietnam as a bomber and were used by the air forces of many countries. And this plane flew the 12,000 kilometres to Australia in 3 days, hand-flown all the way because it doesn't have an autopilot. The Canberra was one of the great post-war success stories of British aviation. Named by Sir Robert Menzies after the nation's capital, it was sold to 15 countries. Some 1,400 were built. Many of them returned to the factory where they were built to be renovated and serve for another decade. This is a tremendously strong aeroplane and high-flying too. Even in the 50s it set a height record of 66,000 feet. And from big jets to small jets, the Vampire and the Mackie. The Vampire's from an earlier period. It was the second jet fighter produced by Great Britain. The first Vampire flew as early as 1943, but it saw no combat. This was a pretty little aircraft which had many of the classic de Havilland design features, and like the Mosquito, parts of it were built of wood. And the return of the Mackies, the 326, once the mount of the roulettes, now fulfilling a useful role as an advanced trainer. Pilots convert from this aircraft onto the FA-18. This synchro-aerobatic routine by two Mackies shows what an excellent machine the Mackie is. The Mackies are still being used at Pearce in Western Australia, at East Sale in Victoria, and at the Operational Conversion Unit at Williamtown in New South Wales. The Mackie is powered by the Rolls-Royce Viper turbojet. Originally designed and flown in Italy, they were licensed built in Melbourne by the Commonwealth Aircraft Corporation. The F-111 is the most controversial aircraft ever acquired by the RAAF, and it was a long time in coming. It hadn't even flown when Australia ordered it and suffered a number of teething troubles. It was a revolutionary design. Its wings can stick out straight like an old-fashioned puddle jumper or sweep back to 72 degrees for supersonic flight. It's an extremely versatile aircraft which can fly high, say 15 kilometres, or low, say 30 metres. It's faster than sound at sea level and can fly at 2.5 times the speed of sound at altitude. This was the plane which was used in the Gulf War and the Libyan air raid. It's been in service for 18 years and it's still a mean machine. Originally, the F-111 was to have an Aboriginal name like the Canberra. The Americans unofficially call it the aardvark because its nose hugs the ground. In Australia, for the same reasons, it's colloquially known as the pig. Only 2 air forces use the F-111, the United States and Australia. In Australia, it equips 2 squadrons, number 1 and number 6, both based at Amberley in Queensland. Since they were first introduced, these aircraft have been fitted with an infrared camera system coupled with a laser rangefinder. This enables the F-111 to place a laser-guided bomb very accurately on target. There are 22 F-111s still in service out of the 24 originally delivered. It's more than likely that this aircraft will still be in service well into the 21st century. And the ever-popular dump and burn routine, where fuel is dumped into the efflux from the engine and ignited. The F-111 sweeps its wings forward for landing. In this configuration, it needs less runway. On the approach, the F-111 looks ungainly, even old-fashioned. But in the air, its flying display is awesome. At Williamtown, FA-18 pilots receive a briefing for the display routine they'll fly at the Airshow. This year, that display will not be an aerobatic routine, but a strike mission demonstrating the aircraft's firepower.
To the east, and 3 and 4 have to float to the east to target that.
I spoke to Flight Lieutenant Mike Pryor about his mission. Mike, can you tell us first of all about the flying display you'll be doing for us at Richmond?
The flying display is about a 10-minute display, a bombing display called Close Air Support in support of the Army, of which the Hornet can be called on at any time if we were to go to war to do. We'll make a total of 3 passes, 1 bombing pass and 2 gunnery passes where we simulate firing the cannon for a total of about 5 minutes in the area. To top off the display, we'll be doing a vertical departure in front of the crowd to demonstrate its capability to climb out of a target area. Initially, we will be low level, so as if we would terrain mask into a target, We will pop up so the crowd can see us, and most of the runs will be done at just above 200 feet above ground level.
200 feet?
Yes.
That sounds like it's going to be pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting. It gives a good display of the Hornet, and it presents the Hornet in a good light.
What's it like to fly?
Totally exciting, totally exhilarating, and I'm glad that I fly it.
Meanwhile, back at Richmond, the Qantas 747-400 makes a slow pass over Richmond's 7,000-foot runway. This is the Long Reach, the aircraft which flew non-stop from England in 20 hours. And while the crowd awaits the FA-18s, the show goes on. And this was the man who started it all, Lieutenant Richard Williams. Before he retired as Air Marshal Sir Richard Williams, he saw the Air Force undergo some remarkable changes.
Experience warns me not to dare to forecast aviation development. I'm sure that it will surprise us. However, I would say this, that I know of no other country in the world as suitable as is Australia to make full use of aviation development, whether it be in peacetime development of the country or for defence.
From the Boxkite to the Hornet, 70 spectacular years of the Royal Australian Air Force. The Hornets start their bombing and strafing run, heralding the F-111's dump and burn, the climax of 3 days of superb flying. Well, thanks for being with us. I hope you've had an enjoyable day of flying at the RAAF 70th Anniversary Airshow, with aircraft both ancient and modern. The next big flying display in Australia will be at Avalon in Victoria. See you there. Oh, I hope you don't think that I'm really going for a fly in this thing. To do that, you have to be in the RAAF, and that's another story.